But this is where we're at. You see a team that's as desperate as you've ever seen any team for a quarterback ever, for one position, as desperate as anything ever. I said something yesterday, and I knew it was going to get hammered on the internet. I didn't think it should have been set up that way, but I knew I was going to get hammered, and I did. We had a caller, and I was actually nice to the caller, but I said, like, hey, you got 5 more games to prove them different. Because it's not, you guys got this mixed up. It's not, we have Shidor until someone proves us otherwise. It's, you are taking a quarterback until Shidor proves us otherwise. And through 2.5 games, he hasn't proven you otherwise. He's played better than a 5th-round pick, but he's not played like a guy that you would set your watch to in your franchise. And we played some audio during the break about another show that picked us up and had some jokes about me, but agreed with you wholeheartedly, and we might play those by the end of the show, that like a new regime,
bedfellows.
Yeah, a new regime is not going to sign up for this. And I've told you guys that a million times. It's not. I don't want it to be this way. Guys, this is the way it is. Tone, this is the way it is. I'm going to do a little preaching here. This team lost for 2 straight years to get Baker Mayfield number 1 overall. This team then turned around and gave $230 million guaranteed to Deshaun Watson. This team then stockpiled picks in round 1 for next year and still took 2 QBs, one of which was a lottery ticket in this year's draft. They are more desperate than any team out there for quarterbacks. If you don't think that they're taking a quarterback next year, as of right now, you are lying to yourself, guys. You're just lying to yourself. They are going to do I think they'll do whatever is necessary. If Shedeur Sanders doesn't turn it up and look like he's the franchise quarterback, which, again, to a lot of people, to the Shedeur fans is a bad thing because that means they're going to keep Kevin Stefanski because you're going to win games over the next 5 games. The anti-Shedeur fans, the Browns fans, who are maybe annoyed by Shedeur fans jumping in on their football team and all the other things, you're just afraid to take a quarterback because this team has failed with so many different quarterbacks before. We are all gun-shy on taking a quarterback. And by the way, that's fair. I'm terrified to take a quarterback, but I just know they're going to do what's necessary. Dane Brugler, the Athletic, he just posted his latest mock. He has the Browns trading their Jacksonville pick and trading up and going after Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall, with this Tennessee team, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to tell you guys know this owner. You know this football team. I'd be willing to say it ain't just going to be the Jacksonville pick. It'll probably be even another pick coming up in this upcoming draft. And I wouldn't put it past them to give up the 1st-round pick in 2027 to make sure if they love a guy that much, this team is going to do what's necessary. And it's for the reasons that I just said yesterday. I love Carson Schlesinger. He's great. He looks like he's going to be a Brown for a long time. Myles Garrett, we're only going to have him at his zenith here for a very short period of time. Maybe he can play till he's 40, but he ain't going to be at his zenith like this till he's 40 years old. You've gone through so many players where you said, what if? And they are obsessed with finding a quarterback. So I may have reservations. I really don't have reservations about Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore for that matter. I mean, there's a few here and there, but, we have plenty of time to discuss them. I've just resigned myself to the thought that they're going to take a QB, and you better get ready for it. Or you better hope, if you don't like Shedeur Sanders or you love Shedeur Sanders, you better hope he balls out and makes Cam Ward look unplayable on Sunday. And then he continues to do it the next week and the next week and the next week and the next week. That's your only way out of that, because it's going to happen. They are obsessed with finding that position, and they're going to do what's necessary to find it. And if that continues to mean making mistakes and setting their future on fire to do so, they're going to do it. You have no retort to that, by the way. You can jump in anytime. I know I've done some preaching here. I'm sorry.
I know we got to go, and we got Dan Wetzel coming up. The only thing I disagree with is...
You can correct me next if you want to.
I just don't see anything scary about drafting a quarterback that everybody is going to have as a top 5 pick, maybe number 1 overall. What's scary about that? Isn't that exciting? Yeah, they could bust. Everybody could bust. Any quarterback. And any bridge quarterback could go sour. Look at what's happened lately with Daniel Jones and the Sam Darnold. Baker has come back down. Geno Smith is horrific and going to be out of the league soon. All the bridge quarterbacks that everybody fell in love with, they're not playing well either. So What's scary about drafting an exciting, moldable young man who is going to have a top of the first round grade?
History since 99 scares the bejesus out of all of us. It does. So the people who are sick and tired of arguing about Shedeur Sanders online, who are not Shedeur Sanders fans, who weren't Shedeur Sanders fans before, they're terrified to take another QB. The people who are Shedeur Sanders fans who say they're only Browns fans because of Shedeur Sanders, and if he's out of here, they'll be out of here on the first thing smoking. They don't want to take a new QB. That's the thing you guys got in common. I have found common ground between you. But I'm just going to let you know, you better be rooting for him hard on Sunday, because if he doesn't do it, they ain't going to hand this team over to Dylan Gabriel. They don't want to hand this team back to Deshaun Watson. They may go out and get a bridge quarterback because another team can just say no to what they could do to move up, but they will move heaven and earth to try to get a quarterback, and you know the proof is right there on paper. I didn't say it with the best bedside manner, and I said it very early, but we all know the truth here, guys. What does he have to do? Is it realistic? Because I asked you at the beginning of the show, actually around 6:20, you can go back and listen to it. I asked, is it 5 games left? Is that a realistic amount of time for the Browns to give a yes? I think they'd have plenty of time to say no. I'm starting to worry that they might be already telling you no, and you guys just don't want to see it, or you haven't seen it yet. When we're playing musical offensive linemen and getting that all figured out, if he were Cam Ward, unless you think your offensive linemen are just terrible, I'm not just trying to figure out offensive linemen in front of Cam Ward. If they would have drafted Shedeur second overall, I would have went crazy if they were doing this with Tevin Jenkins and Wyatt Teller. But he's a 5th-round pick to them. The NFL thinks differently than what all of us think. If you're mad about it, you have every right to be mad about it because maybe they're trying some things out and they're hosing your guy. But I look at this and I go, okay, if we're trying some things out here, how much can he really show? And I don't think another coach or another general manager is going to come in and go, yep, sign me up for all this. Let's get going with the guy who I was a part of a different organization and I passed on so many times over.
Yeah, I do not see a scenario outside of Shidor dazzling here down the stretch. And I think even the Shidor fans, because of the situation, they're like, this isn't exactly set up.
You don't know if he's going to have the chance. Exactly, he's not set up to do so.
Plus, what's the weather? Although I think now they're saying dry on Sunday, but still very cold. We'll see. But it's not setting up, especially once, he has to go up against the Bears. And I know the Bills' defense isn't great, and Pittsburgh's defense isn't great right now, but it's still formidable teams that are trying to save their playoff lives that are going to be, going up against you with good coaching and all of that stuff. So it's not going to be easy for Shedeur. I think this week could be his biggest chance. Outside.
I think this is a huge game for him. I think this is a huge game.
He can, by the numbers, outplay Cam Ward because Cam is going up against Myles Garrett and that defensive line, and he has struggled all year regardless of who he's gone up against. And Shedeur is going up against the Titans defense that is in the bottom third and almost every respectable number. So I think outside of dazzling down the stretch, he's not going to be just given the starting job next year.
Then how would you want...
At the very least, he'd be brought back and have to compete.
And that'd be okay. At this moment, I'd be okay with that. But
if I'm Shedeur fans, I would sign up for that.
But if you're competing, quote unquote, we already know what a competition really is in the NFL.
Yeah.
If they do what Dane Brugler wrote, where they trade up for Fernando Mendoza, that is no competition. There will be no competition.
Yeah, the only question would be...
They'll call it a competition because they love to make us all go crazy, but it's no competition.
The only thing I wonder is, would they slow play Mendoza? Like, would Mendoza guaranteed start week 1? Because now there's mounting evidence that there are different ways to do this. You can either start guys right away...
You know what then I'm
thinking.
And
be like Jaden Daniels, which worked out, and C.J. Stroud, or many others that did not work out.
The most expensive...
Cam Ward, this is not working out.
The most expensive bridge quarterback in the history of the NFL then would start the season next year for that football team.
Well, then,
if they were to take Fernando Mendoza, if they wanted to do it your way and slow play it, yeah.
Well, so you're saying then Shedeur is third string or just not on the team?
Probably.
Well, then that is not a good situation for him then. Then the Shedeur fans should not want him to stay here.
Yeah, they probably don't want him here to begin with. They probably hate that we're talking about all this, but here we are. But if you wanted to do slow play, Shedeur would still not be a veteran by then. And based on what I've seen so far, there's been some little bit of growth. But I wanted to ask you before, does that mean we just open up this offense against Tennessee on Sunday and really let her rip and see what he's got?
Well, what matters to you? If you're the Browns... Is it getting this win, Or is it evaluating the quarterback and not just having him manage a game where it's, death by 1,000 screams?
Are they evaluating Tevin Jenkins? Why wouldn't we evaluate other people? I don't think that evaluating a right guard is as important as evaluating a quarterback. I understand that, but I think you get your answer right there. So if we're in evaluation mode, do I open up that offense? Because this is a glorious opportunity for him to look so much better. Cam Ward's team is terrible. They've already fired their guys. They're already looking. It's a zombie staff. It's a zombie team. That team is awful. Their offensive line is terrible. Your defense, as long as you're not playing against your own special teams unit again, Bubba Ventrone's still here. As long as you're not playing against your special teams unit again, you can win this game and win this game handedly. They're terrible at Tennessee, and your defense is so much better than their offensive line. They've given up 48 sacks. Ooh. 48 sacks. Their right tackle. Go look it up. You can find anything on YouTube right now if you want to. You can find anything on the internet. I swear to God, just go look up right tackle Tennessee. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's awful. It's an awful situation. And if he turns around and hands the ball off, they could win the game. But am I going to see what I need to see out of Shedeur Sanders if I just beat Tennessee? If I just beat Tennessee by turning around and handing the ball off, it might be the right thing to do based on what he knows of the offense, but is that going to be enough to satiate everybody? Like I'm kind of up in the air a little bit. I would still probably want to play it conservative and go, hey, you can get a lot of confidence just by going out and beating a team you're supposed to beat. You beat Las Vegas. They were pretty conservative that way. You were pretty conservative against San Francisco. I don't think that he was necessarily the reason they lost at all. They just handcuffed him in so many ways because the special teams was so terrible and the execution on a fourth down and play was as awful as possibly anybody could ever imagine. So those two things work against you. You could always turn around and hand it off to Quinshon Judkins and you should be able to run him down and beat him. But is that going to be enough? Do you want to go for the gusto and see him roast the ball down the field? Because I got to go back to another lesson I learned. Remember the game against the Lions with you-know-who, where he just thought he was going to use that team like they were playing Abilene Christian, and he ended up almost losing that game. Well, I can't just turn right around with a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience and decide to light up the Cleveland sky, which will still be cold weather. I don't know how wet it's going to be, like you said. It's still going to be cold weather. He's played in cold weather before. He played in Boulder, Colorado, for crying out loud. You're still playing against pros. So now if I just decide to throw the ball all over the place and he throws a pick or two, God forbid 2 or 3, am I putting him in the best situation to grow confidence against a bad football team that you should beat on Sunday?
I'm looking forward to this for that reason. I know most people are going to skip over this game, around the NFL and outside of Cleveland because
there's no good analysis anymore, because they just skip over us.
They do, other than Myles Garrett. You're getting a Myles Garrett breakdown, and that's about it. So I need to see more. Just being brutally honest, in a win or a loss, I do need to see more than 1 or 2 splash plays from Shidor, because I think any quarterback, I think almost anybody can. I've joked with you before the Gardner Minshew comparison. Gardner Minshew came in was he a 6th-round pick?
He was late.
He came in and Nick Foles was ahead of him and broke his collarbone or whatever. And he was thrust into a situation. He didn't get any reps or anything. Mm-hmm. And he came in and looked like a normal starting NFL quarterback. Not a good one, but like a normal starting quarterback. He's got to be way better than that. I mean, he really does as a 5th-round pick to have any kind of priority going forward or to have another team want to give him and his fan base an opportunity. He's got to play better than just a couple splash plays because we all watch the league. Anthony Richardson had some splash plays, 1 or 2 in his starts. That's not enough. And that was a 1st-round pick. Imagine being a 5th-round pick. It's got to be way more. You got to be able to conduct a normal offense, and it can't just be screens either. It has to be you being able to make some reads, process, anticipate throws, throw guys open, all the stuff that quarterbacks are judged on. Because this next rung, Mendoza is already rated higher than you by these scouts. So you're going to be working from a deficit. You got to get going now, and this is the opportunity because you have the better team, and you have your offense actually can match up against their defense this week for once.
By the way,